Hi everyone, my name's Katherine Woodfine and today I'm delighted to be sharing a little bit of my brand new book, Taylor and Rose Secret Agents, Nightfall in New York. So I'm going to read you the first chapter. Here we go. Chapter 1, 10 Downing Street, London, England. It was midnight in London. Lights were being extinguished, the theatres and restaurants were closing their doors. Street lamps glowed and on Piccadilly Circus, illuminated advertisements glittered. The windows of Sinclair's, London's most elegant department store, shimmered gold in the dark. In Covent Garden, people slept huddled on the doorstep of an old church under the yellowing sheets of yesterday's newspaper. In Soho, a lone policeman strode down a narrow, cobbled passage. At the Inns of Court, all was silent, but on Fleet Street, the printing presses clattered through the night, churning out the papers that tomorrow the newsboys would be hawking on every corner. In Westminster, Big Ben chimed midnight, slowly and solemnly. The policeman on duty outside number 10 Downing Street heard it and was glad. It was the end of his shift, and he'd soon be home toasting his toes before a warm fire. Behind him, the Prime Minister's residence was dark, but for the first floor window of the study, which still glowed with yellow lamplight. Arthur Lockwood was working late. The Prime Minister had not noticed Big Ben chiming. He was engrossed in his work, making his way through the contents of a red dispatch box. Methodically, he set aside one document to read later, before scrawling his initials against another. The room was quiet but for the crackling of the fire and the regular tick of the grandfather clock, marking time just as it had for every British Prime Minister since Gladstone. From an adjoining room came the tapping of the typewriter and an occasional stifled yawn from the Prime Minister's private secretary, who was hoping that Lockwood would soon retire for the night. Just then, something made the Prime Minister pause. As he reached into the box to take out the next document, he saw something unexpected, a small envelope. It was still sealed, which was odd in itself. The other letters in the box had already been opened and reviewed by his staff. But this envelope was unopened, as if it had been slipped secretly amongst the rest by an unseen hand. The Prime Minister slit the envelope open. Inside, he found a folded sheet of paper. A new expression of sharp curiosity passed over his face. "Horace," he called after a moment, "set up a meeting for me tomorrow, the Secretary for War and the Admiral of the Fleet." "Very good, sir," came the Secretary's voice, sounding a little weary. "New York, eh?" murmured the Prime Minister to himself. Then he crumpled the letter and tossed both it and the envelope into the fire before turning back to his red box. In the fireplace, the envelope flared up, and for a few seconds the flames illuminated a symbol on its reverse. It was so small it could easily have been dismissed as no more than an ink blot, a twisting shape that resembled a black snake, or perhaps a dragon. It flamed orange-red for a moment, and then it disappeared.